So Eden Zero has honestly been amazing these last couple of chapters, if I'm being completely honest with you, and this one is no different. And let's be honest, Mashma has been cooking with this flashback, let me tell you. And this chapter literally leads up to potentially answering every question that we've had about Mother, the Shining Stars, and Ziggy. So, enough with the preamble. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more Eden Zero videos. Let's just get right into why you clicked on here. Eden Zero chapter 274, titled Earth's Destruction. And that is basically exactly what we get in this chapter, as we start things off with earthquakes tearing the ground asunder, people and vehicles falling into the crevices, buildings collapsing, everything is falling over itself, volcanoes, destruction, as well as just meteorites and potentially other fire falling from the sky as people are running for their lives, with a news broadcast stating, as places are also flooding with an overview shot, and there's dust on the other side, cataclysmic disasters are occurring all over the globe. Is this the long prophesized end of days? And just like Mashima just essentially gave us 3 full chapters, just like everything going to hell, essentially. Like literally we're seeing Armageddon on Earth in this series right now. And yeah, this is bad, very bad. We then cut to Ivory as she is walking through the rubble of the area as she comes across Cooper, buried underneath some rubble. She pulls her out, as essentially he was trying to get a bunch of patients out of the hospital to safety, but he couldn't escape himself. He says, "For goodness sakes, I'm so clumsy." Ivory just gives a nice smile and says, "That's so like you. Now it's my turn to save you." Cooper tells Ivory that he's not even sure if anyone can be saved in this situation, but Ivory says that Yuna's lab is nearby and they'll just take shelter there. We cut to a destroyed building, which is where Yuna's research station is, and she goes on to say that the government never did authorize their proposal to overdrive the planet. Also, we finally get Brigand's actual name, which is Howard, so I find that kind of cool. Also, I forgot if we ever got Killer's actual name, or if Herman has just referred to him as just Senpai the entire time. Let me know in the comment section down below if we actually got Killer's real name from this flashback or in other flashbacks. Anyway, Howard goes on to say that a plan to send the Earth into overdrive, any normal person would essentially think that they're out of their minds. And yeah, I do kind of think he makes a good point there. Even though it's the end of days, I feel like the government would be like, okay, the world is going to shit. This physicist says perhaps this thing that has been proven to heal a patient from internal illnesses, tumors, and all that, could potentially save our planet. Should we risk essentially all of us dying to potentially save us, and maybe we all live? And the government goes, "Nah, she's just talking crazy." And I just like how Mio and Killer, I'm just gonna call him Killer, basically say that Yuna's theory is flawless and that she is essentially right. It's a logical plan. Howard says, "You guys don't gotta convince me. I'm just a surfer. I don't get all the egghead sciencey stuff. But I know that if Yuna says something, it's gotta be right." And I just love how they have this really cool connection, that he's basically a ride or die for Yuna in this past life. Even though in the current life that they have right now, as the Shining and Dark Stars, Valkyrie essentially killed him. I thought it was going to lead into a joke there. I came up with literally nothing. Let's move on. Wizard and Witch are there with Baby Shiki, as they essentially say, "Now that you mention it, we don't really know how it works either. We think we've been helping, but it's also complicated." Yuna just says, "We take the Earth's ether to its critical point, which I believe will result in the Earth going overdrive." Ivory obviously asks, and overdrive is? As Yuna explains that it's essentially a state of ether saturation. She predicts that the Earth will change its shape, and for a while it'll go into a sort of hibernation. During that time, the ether self-purification effect should kick in, and they'll put a stop to all of these natural disasters. And Ivory confirms that the government was against this. Cooper says, "But if we don't do something, it could be the end of the world." As Yuna goes on to say, "I don't need the government's permission to really do this. I fully intend to go forward with the plan anyway." As Mio off on the side casually hacks practically every organization and agency, presumably in the United States, or hey, maybe even the world. So this obviously shows that Mio, before she became Hermit, was a hacking genius, a programming genius to begin with. So yeah, everything is in place and ready to go. So that's just a really cool piece of information. And I like how Cooper's just like, "The Large Hadron Collider. I can't believe you hacked into that." I like how Howard is essentially more of a realist in this situation, just reacting to everyone. And Yuna then asks for everyone's consent. Is everybody in? Howard says, you know I've never gone against you. I'm ready to ride your wave. Mio says, I believe that your logic is correct, Dr. Yuna. Let's save the world. Ivory says, I wouldn't even be here if it hadn't been for you guys saving my life and all. I'll risk that life for you. Cooper agrees. Who cares about the law? We're saving humanity. As Wizard and Witch are essentially all in because they want to give the little Shiki a bright future ahead of him. As they say they're in. We cut to presumably some unexplicit amount of time later as everything is desolate and destroyed. As we see Ziggy walking through the destruction. As he says, a dying planet. To think, instead of finding Mother, I wound up on the planet which is a world of death right now. As all of a sudden, Ziggy picks up a life sign as he begins to walk towards a closed door. He opens it, and in a horrifying 2-page spread, we see everybody, the dark and shining stars in their previous lives, all dead on the ground from presumably being caved in from the disaster, and presumably dying instantly, with little baby Shiki being protected by Witch and Wizard in their past lives, which, if you zoom in, Witch has a smile on her face as she died. Now, someone on Twitter actually began to say that the way that they were laid out on the ground, the shining and dark stars, resembles their relationships with each other in their previous life. Like, Wizard and Witch, they were close by in a protective stance, Witch protecting Shiki while Wizard was trying to protect the two of them, showcasing, again, they're married and this is their child that they want to protect no matter what. Hermit is on the ground facing forward as Killer seems to be reaching towards her but doesn't touch her, showcasing that they're more so just friends, maybe even a crush there. Cooper and Ivory are separated, not even touching each other whatsoever or even facing each other, showcasing that it's literally just doctor and patient as like a friendly relationship as it is. As on the far right side, we have Yuna and Howard, as Yuna is facing towards the door, as Howard has his arm covered over her leg, presumably him failing to try and protect her, showcasing that the two of them definitely had something there. So, yeah, this is a haunting image for Ziggy to come across. My heart literally sank when I saw this page. I knew we were going to get some sort of like hard ending, but to get a smash cut from them, getting ready to save the world, to seeing them dead on the ground, with the only survivor being Shiki. Ziggy goes on to say that these are all human corpses and that the life sign was just from this baby. And Shiki's name is written on the wrapping, the blanket that is surrounding him. As once he reads the name Shiki, Ziggy gets a flash, a feeling in his head as he's not sure what's going on. As he wonders who this child is and what happened to these humans. As all of a sudden the area around him begins to shine brightly as the earth begins to alter and change. The ether of the planet begins to go off the charts as it engulfs and even warps Ziggy to a degree. As we see a big flash of light, with Ziggy presumably now in space, staring up at a huge light in the cosmos. As the final page of the chapter, with Ziggy asking, what am I seeing? As he is face to face with the newly born mother. Ending the chapter. Whew. That was something. We literally went straight into the apocalypse for Earth, and the four shining stars and their partners and friends essentially go all in to try and save the Earth against the government's wishes, literally in the end times. And to have a smash cut to Ziggy some unamount of time later, finding their dead corpses in the room of Yuna's research station, presumably buried under a lot of rubble and dying seemingly on the impact, with only Shiki being the only one to survive. Haunting imagery right there, but with Mother seemingly being born, it is shown that Yuna's plan did in fact work. They did manage to hit the planet, make its either go out of control before their deaths, as seemingly right now with Mother's birth, this is after the Earth's hibernation period from what she stated, if I'm reading this correctly. But yeah, that was the chapter, and this not only answers some questions on how Mother became Mother, but this also shows why Ziggy came to Earth in the first place 20,000 years ago. He came to find Mother, but he ended up finding Mother on the day of her birth, the day Mother was created in the first place, and presumably shortly after the Shining Stars were killed, and with the only survivor being a baby Shiki. Now, we'll all honestly get some more answers, as this does contradict, Ziggy building the Shining Stars and going off to find Mother, and him finding Shiki on that journey. But we do know that the memories of the Shining Stars were erased, so it's very possible based with what Pino learned about the past, the Shining Stars had their memories erased by Ziggy, and thus, now we're going to finally get the full context. According to the actual Japanese release, from what I've seen, the next title of the chapter is like the birth of the Shining Star, so we might actually get Ziggy talking to Mother, making the deal, and creating the Shining Stars and potentially the Dark Stars as well. And we'll probably get more answers as to how Ziggy and Shiki officially started this whole weird time loop thing that's transcended all these different universes. But yeah, that was it. That was quick, and I really did enjoy this chapter. My heart sank with their death scenes being so abrupt, but it's an apocalypse, so of course things are going to happen like that. I'm curious to see what the answers that we haven't gotten yet will be, and I'm curious to see how this flashback will end as we transition back into the actual battles against Void in the final arc. But what do you guys think of this flashback so far and this chapter? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and ensures you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I've been loving these reviews, and I cannot wait to cover the series even more as time progresses, because this final arc, oh boy, I feel like things are really heating up from here. But with all that said and done, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope you all have an awesome day.